Act 1 of The Beau's Duel, or A Soldier for the Ladies, by Susanna Centlivre. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Prologue, by a Gentleman. What hazards poets run in times like these, sure to offend, uncertain whom to please. If in a well-worked story they aspire to imitate old Rome's or Athens' fire, it will not do, for straight the cry shall be, 'tis a forced heavy piece of bombacetry. If comedy's their theme, 'tis 10 to 1, it dwindles into farce, and then 'tis gone. If farce their subject be, this witty age holds that below the grandeur of the stage, our female author, though she sees what fate does the event of such attempts still wait, with a true British courage ventures on, thinks nothing honour without danger won. She fain would shew our great forefathers' days, when virtue, honour, courage wore the bays. Fain would she kindle up those fading fires that warmed their noble blood to fierce desires, when the bold hero, after tedious wars, with bleeding wounds adorned and glorious scars, from conquest back returned with laurels crowned, where from the fair their just rewards they found. She thinkest a crime in any one to dare, or hope to gain a conquest o'er the fair, who ne'er could boast a victory in war. Let but your arms abroad successful prove, the fair at home shall crown your toils with love. Dramatis Personae.
Colonel Manley in love with Clarinda. Read by Adrian Stephens.
Captain Bellmein, his friend. Read by Elijah Fisher.
Toper, an enemy to matrimony, and a friend to the bottle. Read by
ToddHWSir William Mode, a fop in love with Clarinda and countenanced by her father. Read by BeeswaxcandleOgle.
Ogle, a fortune hunter, a conceited fellow that fancies everybody is in love with him. Read by Giordano.
Careful, father to Clarinda. Read by
Clarinda, in love with Manley. Read by
Emilia, her cousin and heiress, newly come out of the country. Read by Jenn BrodaMrs.
Mrs. Plotwell, formerly a mistress to Bellmein. Read by Sonia.
Mrs. Flora, Clarinda's maid. Read by
Mrs. Plotwell's maid. Read by Elsie Selwyn.
Drawer. Read by Redrun. Sergeant. Read by Redrun.
Laric as La Riviere servant. Read by Alan Mapstone. Toby. Read by Alan Mapstone.
Footman. Read by David Purdy.
Porter. Read by Jim Locke.
Lan the Tavern-Keeper. Read by
Stage directions. Read by Christine Rutger. The scene, London. Act 1, Scene 1. Scene, the street. Enter Colonel Manley.
How do men labour to fool themselves? What pains did I spare, or excuse did I not invent, to persuade my friends I was going another way, to get rid of their troublesome ceremony that would have waited on me home, and all this for an opportunity only of taking a turn or two before this window. Oh, love, how powerful are thy charms, thus to unman, and send me like a boy, gaping after imaginary joys. Not all the hazards of a soldier's life could so much affect me as the dreadful apprehension of displeasing this girl. Whatever I do, whether I eat or drink, whether I sleep or wake, whether I'm at home alone or abroad in company, my thoughts are still of her. She's always present. I can see nothing but her. I can hear nothing but her. I can think of nothing but her. And in short, I care for nothing but her. 'Tis happiness enough for any man to love and be beloved by such a woman. She's so beautiful, so agreeable, and so loving, yet so virtuous, so chaste, and so constant that if her father's rigid opposition were removed, nothing could add to the blessing which lies in store for me.
Enter Captain Bellmein, who goes within 2 or 3 yards of the door, then stops short, looks up.
"Oh, this must be the house. But what the devil am I? The better for it, the doors are locked, windows barred, my mistress asleep, and I may return like an ass as I came, without so much as being dreamed of. Can love, that never fails its votaries at a pinch, inspire no stratagem now? Egad, I was never more able to offer him a plentiful sacrifice. And did my mistress know with what warm desires I come, she'd meet me halfway, or she deserves to die a maid."
The more I think, I still perplex myself the more, like a poor fly in a spider's web. By labouring to get loose, I work myself faster in the toil. And why should I struggle any longer with what I can't master, or desire to be without what I'm persuaded is the greatest blessing in the world? I am resolved I will love on.
Turns short upon the captain.
Ha! A man, and if I mistake not, mad Bellmein, whom I left at the Rose. He's upon some amorous design, but is too open to hide anything from his friend. I'll accost him. Good morrow, Captain. I commend your early industry. You are choosing some fortified piece of virtue to lay a manly siege to.
"Ha, Colonel, good morrow to you with all my heart. No, faith, I never stay the formality of a siege. 'Tis your honourable lovers are forced to undergo that drudgery, whenever I meet any, as rarely do, that resist the shock of my first assault. I fairly draw off to the next, who are sure to surrender upon more easy terms."
So you take all by storm, plunder the garrison, fire their quarters, and march off in triumph.
What I do can't be comprehended by constant pulling lovers. They can't bear those strong joys we suck from our lusty draughts of love. Like weak-sighted birds, they fly about in twilight of pleasure, not able to bear the meridional heat and pleasure of it. One kind glance crowns your hopes, and raises you to the highest happiness, but then a frown, or sour look, Colonel, throws you down again to despair, so that—
Have a care, Captain, how far you launch out in this strain, lest you be too like our modern widows, who exclaim most against a second husband, when they are just upon the point of having one.
So that from my laughing at honourable lovers, as you call them, you unlearnedly infer I am one myself.
Nay, raillery apart, it has been seriously observed that you are—
What?
Very much altered of late.
How? Faith, I think myself the same man. I have the same appetites, the same desires that ever I had.
Ay, but you saunter about in solitary places, avoid your acquaintance, and when you can't escape them are more uneasy than a rich miser with a borrowing friend. And here, now, I find you out of your way, addressing yourself to senseless wood and stone.
Ay, my friend, but this senseless wood includes a more beautiful Daphne than e'er the Delian god pursued, a girl so bright, so sparkling, and what recommends her much more to me, so coming,
Embraces him.
that had she lived in the days of Venus, she would have rivaled that goddess and outdone her too in her own attributes.
Have a care you don't misplace your worship, for to my particular knowledge no such person lodges in this house.
To my more particular knowledge, such a person does lodge in this house, and in the room that looks out at that window too.
Colonel Manley, aside.
Ah, Clarinda lodges there, 'tis true, but that she's such as he describes is false. Yet she's a woman, and where dissembling grows so much in use, perfection must be a stranger. I'll for a while lay by the implicit lover for the more inquisitive jealous man, and try him farther. Well, I may be deceived, but how do you know you are so too?
Why, faith, since I know you to be an honest fellow and a man of honour, I don't care if I trust you with the secret, upon condition your assistance shan't be wanting upon occasion.
Colonel Manley, aside.
'Slife, I shall be drawn in to help him away with my mistress. If she be such as you describe, I believe you will have no great occasion for help, but to the purpose.
Why, you must know that in this house lives a damned positive ill-natured old fellow.
Colonel Manley, aside.
I know it too well, or by this time his daughter had been out of your reach.
And that there's a young lady, his daughter, niece, or something.
Aye, very probable. What then?
Why, that likes my person, that's all.
How do you know this?
Know it? I have infallible signs of it. She makes assignations with me, and keeps them, receives my addresses, letters, and songs, nay, sings them too. And if there'd been signs she likes me, the devil's in it.
Well, but her name.
Aside.
I'll yet believe Clarinda innocent, and 'tis someone else he mistakes for her.
Nay, now, faith, Colonel, you are unreasonable. You know 'tis not fair to tell names.
Not tell me her name? Then I shall think you trifled with me all this while, and scorn the friendship I offer.
I'll rather tell you all I know, but as for her name, faith, and troth, I know no more hers than she does mine. Her desire to be unknown herself made her the less pressing, I suppose, so that we freely pass among ourselves for Caledon and Clo, as you may see by this song, if you'll be at the pains of reading it. 'Tis the last I sent her, and though inconsiderable in itself, receives from her voice inestimable value.
Colonel Manley, aside.
Oh, my soul! The very song I heard Clarinda sing, 'tis she past all doubt.
What, at a stand, Colonel? Ha! What means all this concern?
'Tis for you, my friend. That woman you admire I know to be the most cunning, treacherous, and false dissembler, nay, worse, if worse can be, in the world. I would advise you to proceed with caution, for husbands, Captain, too late repent when they can't quit the ill.
Oh, if it be only my dangers that disturb you, I'll soon ease you of that trouble. Marriage is not the course I steer. We never admit so sour a thought to turn our more pleasant conversation.
How? Not marry? What then does all this tend to?
Oh, that's unreasonable again. Why, nothing but a little harmless mirth or so.
Colonel Manley, aside.
Oh, my soul, he designs to debauch her.
Captain Bellmein, aside.
Ha! The Colonel in his dumps again. There's something in it I don't understand.
Hark ye, Captain, I know you have courage, and always took you for a man of honour. Therefore, think it worth my while to tell you this woman you have been so free with is one I have long time loved. Therefore, expect you'll give me unquestionable proofs of what you have said, or meet me with your sword, and so leave you to prepare yourself for which you think most proper.
Going. Captain Bellmein, aside.
Heyday! Have I been all this while making a confidant of my rival, and telling my secrets to the only man I ought to hide them from? Now I perceive what was made him so testy, but he shan't part thus. Look'ee, Colonel, to show how much I value your friendship, I'll consent to what you propose, and though fighting may be of less trouble, yet for your ease I'll undertake to make out what I've said.
Upon that condition, I'll call you friend again, but if you should fail, you had best look to it.
Here's some company coming this way. Let's retire till they pass. Then I'll tell you our whole intrigue, and leave you to judge whether I have reason to think as I do.
They withdraw. Enter Sir William Mode.
Le Reviere?
Sir?
Listen to me if you don't speak plain English. I shall have the world think I'm such a sloven as to keep an English fellow. Do you hear? If you don't mimic it better, I shall turn you away.
Me will take all the care imaginable, sir.
Very well. Is the music all come?
Yes, sir. Here be the fiddle, the hautboy, the curtel, and the bass viol. They be all disposed for to receive your command.
'Tis very well. Dear, do you marshal them in order before this window, and see they be ready to strike up as soon as I give the word.
The Colonel and Captain appear.
What the devil's here? Another lover? What think you now, Colonel? Your mistress must be more than woman, if she can hold out against such a formal siege.
This fop I know too well to be jealous of, and know her so far from encouraging him, that her father's authority, which countenances him, can scarce procure him common civility from her.
Hist, the thing opens.
Well, 'tis an unspeakable happiness we men of parts enjoy above the rest of mankind. By our good management we make our access to everything we admire easy and certain. How many thick-skulled fellows are content to dream of their mistresses, while I take a more secure method, and wake her in the morning with harmonious music. I wonder how the ladies can suffer these idle fellows that take no more pains to please them. For my own part, I believe I have something extraordinary in me that makes me so acceptable to all the women I come in company with. Well, music? I hope you will all show yourselves masters in your performance. Come, strike up. Ah, merciful Apollo, what a hideous noise you make! There's a sound fitter to storm a breach with than approach a lady's slumbers. Play some soft air. Concert of flutes would have done well.
While the music plays, he uses a great many odd postures. Seeing the door open, the music ceases, and he runs to meet Clarinda's maid.
How? The door open?
Oh, My dear angel, how does my goddess receive my morning sacrifice?
As she does everything that comes from the incomparable Sir William Mode, with particular marks of favour in private, though she's obliged to lay great restraint on her carriage in public, to appear cold to him.
But methinks she need not be reserved, since I have her father's consent.
Aye, 'tis that makes her so. For his cross humour, should she show the affection she really has for you, would make him run counter to what he so eagerly pursues now, out of mere opposition. For he never opposed Colonel Manley till she expressed some liking for him, and now she fears should she own her love for you, 'twould prove as fatal to her hopes. Therefore begs you, by me, to take all indifference in public for particular marks of favour.
Well, I'll take your advice, and sweet Mrs. Flora, let me entreat you to accept of this small acknowledgment for favours I have received by your means.
Oh, Lord, sir, I vow I'm ashamed, but I shall be always ready to do your good offices with my lady. Sir, your servant.
Exit.
Adieu, angel. Here, music, strike up a merry ramble and lead to my lodgings.
Exit.
Oh, woman, woman! Now, friend, I believe all you said, and a great deal more, yet who could expect with so much beauty such ugly falsehood? For thee, or any man, she might have some plea, but this sign of a man, to fall so low, argues a very depraved appetite. 'Sdeath, I can't bear the thoughts on't.
Have a little patience, and every small discovery will help you forward to your lost liberty. Before tomorrow night, I'll lay such convincing proofs before your eyes as shall infallibly complete your cure.
What's here? Another serenade? More lovers yet?
Enter Toper, singing.
The devil a bit care I for a wife, so I have but wine and a fire. A wench when I please my passion to ease, the devil a wife I desire.
Ha ha, drunken Toper, reeling home after a night's debauch. Sure he's no lover. 'Twould be impossible for the blind god to find his heart for the fumes of wine. Besides, 'tis so indifferent to everything else, there's no taking it but with a bottle.
Ha! Toper, thou holdest thy own yet, I see.
Colonel, good morrow. I wish you hold your own, boy. For I met a thing in the next street may chance undermine your foundation. One who says he can do more in one night than you in all the days of the week.
What do you mean?
Why, I meant Sir William Mode, big with success, returning from Clarinda, who, he says, encourages his addresses in private, and only favours you in public to egg her father on to consummation with him. And this he purchased with a serenade.
'Sdeath, doth he boast of his success, and must my misfortune be the subject of the coxcomb's raillery? Am I published to the world as a blind for his designs? Hell and furies! 'Tis not to be borne. I'll after him immediately, and were every vanity about him a Hercules, I'd force my way through them all to stop that foul breath of his.
Going.
Hold, you will but widen the sore you design to heal. 'Twill be no hard matter from the coxcomb's fruitful impertinence to take another occasion for quarrelling, and then pay old scores, or if it be my luck, first to meet the opportunity. You may be sure I'll throw in a hearty thrust for you.
Nay, sir, you may save yourself the labour of quarrelling, for he won't answer expectation, I assure you.
A coward! Nay, then he shall dance a minute the length of the street, while it be time on his backside.
Hang him! He's not worth our resentment, Prithee, Toper, what is he? For I have but barely seen him.
In the first place, he's a mere compound of powder, paint, and affection, so perfumed you may smell him a mile. He thinks every woman in love with him, and will allow no man to claim a share in aught above a chambermaid, or stand competition with his parts a person.
And yet not fight, say you?
Fight? No, no, he hates the sight of a drawn sword, as much as I do that of an empty bottle. He will sometimes pretend to courage, as some women will to honour and honesty, though their inclinations tend to neither, no more than mine to matrimony. He has 4,000 pounds a year, which he spends in intrigues, fine clothes, and music, and he has always as many fiddlers at his heels as the general officers at his levee.
Whose attendance is better rewarded, I fancy. No doubt they taste the fruits of their labours sweetly.
In my conscience, I believe they deserve it, for who becomes his favourite must use as much flattery as would purchase a maidenhead, though the woman's design was marriage. Ah, that fortune should be so liberal to such a fool, when so many honest fellows fit in a coffee-house all the evening for want of money to go to a tavern.
Riches are the common chance of knaves and fools. Fortune is rarely favourable to man of sense. 'Tis with difficulty and danger they purchase a smile from the fickle mistress, but fools are still her care. I shall take more notice of this fellow the next time I see him.
Which may be this morning, if you will, for he just now invited me to an entertainment of music that is to be performed at his chamber by some of the best masters. There will be champagne, boy.
Will you go, Colonel?
Not I. The conversation of town ladies, who entertain you with the opinions of 50 fools of their wit and beauty, and how managed by them to their ruin, would be 1,000 times more acceptable to me than the medley chap of fops and fiddlers.
Then you won't go?
No, I'll expect you at my lodgings.
Exit.
But you will. There's champagne, box of the company.
And music too. If that be good, the company be hanged.
Exit. Scene changes to Clarinda's lodging in her father's house. Enter Clarinda and her cousin Amelia, undressed as waked by the serenade.
Dear Amelia, you ask so many questions. Prithee have some pity and spare me a little.
Dear cousin, do you pity me and answer me a little?
I have answered you these 3 days you have been in town. More questions than all the astrologers and philomaths in London could resolve in a month.
And I have as many more to ask before I can be satisfied. I'd fain know the cause of all this alteration. Why so much uneasiness, and why so much spleen? Never pleased but when you are displeased, nor like your company, but when you are alone. In short, I have observed—
What have you observed, cousin?
Why, that your father is never well, but when talking of Sir William, nor you pleased, but when you are thinking of somebody else.
Oh, how inquisitive are girls!
Oh, how reserved are lovers!
Prithee, cousin, learn to be more serious.
Prithee, cousin, learn to be more free.
Then you positively believe I am in love?
Positively.
And with—
Another guess man than your father designs for you.
And nothing
will persuade me to the contrary.
Why then I am, and since 'tis in vain to hide it from you, Amelia, I'll try you with the confidence I hitherto thought you too young for.
Emilia aside.
Alas, she little thinks I have as great intrigues of my own as any she can trust me with, though I have been but 3 days in town.
I am, as you see, cousin, besieged night and day, by two as different as night and day. One in the head of innumerable fopperies and insolences attacks me, with the assurance of a conqueror before he enters the field, being supported by the harsh authority of a rigid father. The other, after 1,000 obsequious demonstrations of love at respectful distance, courts to be admitted mine rather than seeks to have me his.
In my conscience, were it my case, I should not be at a stand which to choose, there being such apparent difference.
Nay, there is more yet. For one is generous and brave, the other cowardly and pitiful. One judicious, t'other impertinent. One constant, t'other whimsical. One a man of sense, t'other a blockhead. One admired by all, t'other ridiculed by all.
One, I suppose, is the gentleman that gave the serenade, Sir William, of whom I have heard so much since I came to town. But the other, Clarinda, I fear is nowhere to be found. Such men appear but as they say the phoenix does, not above one in an age.
And that ours has one in him, the judicious part in mankind bears witness.
Lovers, Clarinda, like people in motion, fancy everything they see, moves as they do, and maybe from the knowledge of your own principles and resolutions, you form your notion of his.
Aside.
Now could I almost find in my heart to discover my own intrigue, if 'twere only to let her see. There are men that equal, if not exceed hers, but that I'm ashamed of its forwardness in so short a time. But how comes it, cousin, that we never see this man?
Before you came to town, my father forbid him in the house, with any further pretensions to me, upon Sir William's account, to whom his honour was engaged before he saw him, or else I believe his follies would have outweighed his estate, for he, you know.
I know too much of him, for I have seen him.
So you have t'other too. He was one of the two that bowed to us t'other night from the side-box, and of whom you have since been so inquisitive, though I never let you into the secret till now.
Of one of those?
Aside.
I know a secret which I believe you are a stranger to, and which I would not for the world discover till I know more on it. If that be he, I like him as well as you can, but I think a gentleman of Sir William's estate should not seem so contemptible.
Oh, dear cousin, don't name him. For besides the particular aversion I have to him, 'twould beget in the world a very slender opinion of my sense, should I encourage such a fop.
Oh, quite contrary. Besides, cousin, if you hate him, you can never get it in your power to torment him more than by marrying him.
That would be making myself uneasy. Purely to trouble another? No, I must have some contrivance to expose him. And our neighbour, Mrs. Plotwell, shall help me do it.
Does that lady still continue her persecution of fops?
With as much address and success as ever. And her pleasant accounts of her feigned intrigues makes her very entertaining company. She hates Sir William Mode, and I am sure will assist in anything. I never had a stronger temptation to disobedience than now. Love and merit plead on Manly's side. Reason, too, approves my choice. The other's an empty nothing, a mere talker. We'll show his right side. Expose him. Shall we not, my dear?
With all my heart. I love mischief so well, I can refuse nothing that farthers that.
End of the first act. Act 2 of The Beau's Duel, or A Soldier for the Ladies, by Susanna Centlivre. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 2, Scene 1. Scene: Sir William's lodgings. Enter Sir William in a nightgown, looking in his glass.
This rising early is the most confounded thing on earth. Nothing so destructive to the complexion. It blister me how I shall look in the side-box tonight, wretchedly upon my soul.
Looking in the glass all the while.
Yet it adds something of a languishing air, not altogether unbecoming, and by candlelight made all mischief. But I must stay at home to recover some colour, and that may be as well laid on too. So it is resolved I will go. Oh, 'tis unspeakable pleasure to be in the side-box, or bowed to from the stage, and be distinguished by the beaux of quality. To have a lord fly into one's arms and kiss one as amorously as a mistress, and then tell me aloud that he dined with his grace, and that he and the ladies were so fond of me they talked of nothing else. Then, says I, my lord, his grace does me too much honour. Then, my lord, pox upon this plate is not worth seeing. We haven't been seen at t'other house tonight, and the ladies will be disappointed not to receive a bow from Sir William. He, says I, my lord, I'll wait upon your lordship. Then, says my lord, lead the way, Sir William. Oh, pray, my lord, I beg your lordship's pardon. Nay, Sir William. Pray, my lord.
Enter La Reviere.
Pray, Sir William. Pray, my lord.
As he says this several times, La Reviere enters behind him, but as he designs to pass by him, is still prevented by his turning from one side to the other, as he acts himself for the lord.
Hey, what the devil is he conjuring and talking with invisible lords? He's in his airs. Some pleasing imagination hurries him out of his senses. But I must to my cue. Sir, there be 2 gentlemen below come to wait upon you this morning. Shall I show them up?
No, my lord, by no means. I know better things.
La Reviere, aside.
What, then am I a lord? Egad, I never knew my quality before.
Sir William, aside.
Sure, this blockhead has roused me from the prettiest entertainment in the world. Well, what would you, sir?
I will tell you, sir, there be 2 gentlemen wait upon you.
And let him wait till I have done.
Aside.
I had 1,000 fine things to say upon that occasion, but this rude fellow has frightened them all out of my head. Well, since my better diversion is over, show him up.
Yes, sir.
Exit La Reviere. Enter Captain Bellmein and Toper.
Gentlemen, I am your most humble servant. Mr. Toper, I am extremely yours for the honour you have done me in bringing your friend. I lay under severe apprehensions that nothing could engage you but a drinking bout.
Faith, you were in the right. For if your champagne had not more charms than your music, your fiddlers might have played by themselves for me.
Oh, how unpolished, how barbarous that is.
Why do you expect any other from him? He admires no music like wine rattling in the throat of a flask, with a chorus of drawers at coming, sir.
And that to me is the most nauseous thing under the moon, impair my vigour.
Impair my vigour? Very pretty, faith. Prithee, where didst get that affirmative?
'Tis my own, at the purchase of some day's study. For to use another man's oath is, in my opinion, as indecent as wearing his clothes. And to be in the road of the vulgar is beneath a gentleman who, in my judgment, ought to be as much distinguished by his expressions as by his coach and livery.
Right, sir. For since every body that has money enough sets up an equipage, a gentleman ought to find out some other way of distinguishing himself.
Oh, my conscience, they will ape us in that too, for they are so proud of following their betters that they even tread upon their heels. Not a formal chit or awkward lawyer's clerk that won't court the cook wench a quarter of a year for oil and flour enough to garnish out his wig for a day, that he may impudently mimic a beau. If 'twere not beneath me, I could kick such animals to a jelly.
How? Kick 'em to a jelly? Why, I have seen of that kind you talk of, brawny fellows that could kick and cuff too stoutly.
Ay, that may be, but 'tis not a gentleman's business that always wears a sword and has some half-dozen of footmen at his heels to kick and cuff, nor stand and consider whether the mechanic be armed or not. 'Tis enough that he is, or but thinks he is affronted, to atone for the life of a scoundrel.
Captain Bellmein aside.
Now, wouldst this ass, rank coward as he is, if not curbed by the law, kill 100 men, honester and stouter than himself, only because they don't wear swords, or are not so finical?
I should think, Sir William, these honest people that wear no swords, very harmless, because they carry no instruments of mischief about 'em.
Instruments! Their very hands, their dirty clothes are instruments of mischief. Look'ee, sir, I'll make it very plain to you. I may lawfully kill a man in my own defence that comes armed in terrorem to rob me of £50.
Right, sir.
You allow that?
We do.
Then I'll prove the rest in an instant. I have a new suit on that cost me £50. Here comes thundering by a dirty drayman with his cart that puts me in bodily fear, and rushing rudely by daubs all my clothes so that I can't wear them any more. Now here's £50 lost by this rascal's dirty clothes, if I don't prevent it by running him through the body.
How? Kill a man for wearing dirty clothes? The law makes better provision for men's lives.
The law should make better provisions for men's clothes too, for the insolence of the vulgar is insufferable, and if 1 or 2 of them were made examples, the rest would be more civil. One night after a play I waited on a lady from the box to her coach. Comes a clumsy chit with a poultry mask out of the gallery, rushed against me, threw down the lady's page, brushed all the powder out of my wig, then cried, "Ha, ha, ha! We have ruined the beau." Had I been a lord, I would have run 'em through the guts. But to be tried by a Middlesex jury is the devil.
Aye. These vulgar, as you call them, have a greater respect for one another than to suffer that man to escape that kills one of them. But I suppose your principal concern rises from your loss of the lady's favour.
It had no such effect on her, I assure you, sir. Wherever I get a footing in a lady's esteem, I stand too firm to be jostled out by a chit. As, for instance, I'll give you another adventure of mine. Being engaged by appointment to meet a lady at White's, and detained by some extraordinary business, the lady chanced to be there in her coach as soon as I arrived in mine, so that lighting out of my coach to go to hers, a nasty fellow running just against me almost beat me backward, and, though he did it designedly, yet cried, "Zounds, can't you see? Your wig blinds you, does it? so taking one side, gave it such a toss of my shoulder that had not the lady been passionately in love with my person, the disorder I appeared in might have spoiled my amour.
Enter servant and whispers.
Incorrigible coxcomb. Pox on him. I'm weary of him. There's no variety in him. Come, shall we go?
No, prithee. Stay a little till we see what becomes of the music.
Of the champagne, you mean, Topper.
Gentlemen, I am the most unfortunate man this day alive.
Why, what's the matter?
A cursed mischance has robbed me.
Not of your wine, I hope.
Nor your mistress?
No, but of Mr. Quaver.
Why, is he dead?
Not quite dead, but an unlucky accident has put it out of his power to oblige us with his incomparable voice.
Is he run through the body?
Or drunk before dinner?
No, gentlemen, but he has scalded his mouth by drinking his chocolate too hot this morning and can't sing.
A sad mischance indeed.
Enter servant and whispers, and then goes out and brings in a letter.
Prithee, Toper, who is this fellow he laments so much? Some rascal that, finding his weakness, imposes on him?
No, 'tis an intimate friend of his, one as whimsical as himself, and truly fit for no other company. He made shift in a month's time to purchase the displeasure of most of the quality in town, in spite of some excellence he has in music.
Toper aside.
And now is become fit entertainment for such fops as this, who, after the strictest engagement, will be put off with trifling excuses.
You see, gentlemen, how I spend my life. I divide the greatest part of it between love and music. To make amends for the disappointment of one, fate has sent me some new discovery in the other. A new amour enfeeble me, for upon my soul, gentlemen, I never saw the hand before. And to convince you of its novelty, I'll open it fairly before you.
He opens, and Toper looks over his shoulder. Reads.
Sir William, I beg the favour you'd meet me. Aye, as I said, gentlemen. Prithee, Toper, read out.
While he reads, Sir William capers about.
A billet doux, do you call it? 'Tis the most masculine one I ever saw, and invites to rougher entertainment than you imagine. 'Tis a very pretty billet doux, truly. Shall I read it out, Sir William?
Aye, prithee, dear Toper.
Sir William, I beg the favour you'd meet me behind Montague House at 6 tomorrow morning, with your sword in your hand, in order to answer what shall be alleged against you by yours as you use me, roughly.
A billet doux, do you call it? Why, 'tis a challenge.
Ha!
Taking the letter and looking upon it.
'Tis so, impair my vigour. Now blister me if I did not think it as plain a billet doux as ever I read in all my life. Where did the porter say he brought this letter from?
From Will's coffee house, sir.
The devil he did. Why, what if these men of the sword encroached upon our privilege there too? What business can they have amongst us beaux and poets? What shall I do? For in short I won't fight a man I don't know. And gentlemen, I vow I don't remember I ever saw this Mr. Roughly in my life.
Oh, he's a damned fighting fellow. Your only way is to send him word you'll meet him on Calais sands. Dueling is unsafe in England for men of estates. He'll hardly be at the trouble of going over, so that if he will fight you, he must draw upon you whene'er he meets you. If so, you'll have both the mob and the law on your side, and if you kill him, you need not care a sous.
Say you so, sir? I'll take your advice and answer it immediately.
I think Mr. Toper has given you counsel as nicely as if you had given 5 guineas for a fee.
I'm infinitely obliged to him.
Sir William, I kiss your hand.
Goodbye, knight.
Gentlemen, your most obsequious servant.
Exeunt severally. Scene 2. Carefull's house. Ogle looking up at it. Enter the other side, Bellmein and Toper.
Who the devil is that fellow now? I think in my conscience this place is become the parade of lovers.
What, don't you know him? Why, 'tis Ogle the fortune hunter.
A fortune hunter? I should sooner have taken him for a sheep stealer.
He was an attorney's clerk, but his father dying left him a small estate. He bought out his time and set up for a fortune. There's scarce a matchmaker in the whole town but has had a fleece at his purse, nor scarce a great fortune in town but he'll tell you has received his addresses. In short, he's a medley of fop, fool, and coward. Prithee, let's speak to him. He may divert us a little.
With all my heart.
Mr. Ogle, your servant.
Ha, Mr. Toper, I kiss your hand.
To Bellmein.
Sir, I'm yours.
What makes you sauntering here? In my conscience, I believe you are in love with the great fortune of this house.
Why, really, Mr. Toper, to be ingenuous with you, I am, and not without some very good grounds neither, I assure you.
Bellmein, aside.
How? This coxcomb encouraged too.
I was in hopes to have wished you joy ere now. I think the last time I saw you, you told me you was to be married to my Lady Rich.
I did so, but sure I am the most unlucky fellow living. The poor lady died ere she could have an opportunity of declaring her mind to me. And truly I believe I may, without vanity say, she died for love.
What? Did you never speak to her?
Never.
How? Never speak to her, say you? Why, how the devil did you make love then?
By a third person, sir.
I beg pardon, sir. Great persons, I remember, do court by proxy.
I had several letters from her. Mrs. Couple was intimately acquainted with her. You know Mrs. Couple, Mr. Toper.
Oh, very well. Matchmaking is her business.
I'll show you what she used to write to me.
Pulling out a letter.
Here. No. Hold. This is from a baronet's lady, with whom I had an intrigue. This is from a merchant's wife, a city animal, that pretends to a nicer taste than those of her level, and would fain have a child with the air of a gentleman. But I begged her pardon. I left her to the brutes of her own corporation, for I will have nothing to do with the body politic.
Ridiculous monster.
For, if you observe, sir, a tradesman is the most litigious cuckold living. He never considers the honor a gentleman does him, but values himself upon his charter, and moves for costs and damages, when he ought rather to be thankful for the favor.
You are very severe upon the city, sir, but where are the letters you was about to show us?
Ha! Upon my life, gentlemen, I put 'em into my scrutor this morning. But, as I was saying, Mrs. Couple had 100 guineas of me for the management of that business, and if the lady had not died, I'm certain she had been my wife. Well, I shall never forget what languishing looks she cast at me at church. then put up her fan to her face and sigh, as much as to say, "You are the only man that can make me happy."
Ha 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 ha! Extraordinary symptoms. Faith, 'twas very unlucky that you could not come to the speech of her.
'Twas my ill fortune, but I'm so used to disappointments that I bear them the easier. What I have met with would have broke the heart of some men. The Lady Wealthy was perfectly forced from me by her uncle, else I'm convinced she had now called me husband.
Why? What hopes had you of her?
Hopes? Why, the greatest in the world. She praised me to everybody she thought knew me. She said I had the handsomest foot and leg she ever saw, the best manner of dressing, and the genteelest carriage. She said she could hardly believe me an Englishman without doing violence to her reason.
Bellmein aside.
I should be glad that every English-born blockhead would disclaim his country. Truly, sir, I'm partly of the lady's opinion.
Sir, your very humble servant.
But, sir, was you not saying you had some reason to walk before this house?
I was so, sir.
Do you know Mr. Carefull's daughter, sir?
Oh, very well, sir, though I believe not so well as she desires, and I hope to do in a little time.
Say you so, sir?
Then you are very well acquainted, sir.
Yes, very well acquainted, sir.
Pray, sir, can you introduce me?
Faith, sir, not very well, for I never spoke to the lady in my life.
How? Never spoke to her? Why, I understood you, that you was well acquainted, sir.
Why, so I am, sir. Why is it not possible to be acquainted without speaking, gentlemen? Why, a friend of mine lay all night with a lady, and never saw her face, nor knows not who she is to this moment. Now I think seeing is of greater consequence than speaking. But you shall hear how far I'm acquainted with this lady. I lodge at her milliner's, you must know, and I have several times passed through the shop when she's been in't, and as soon as my back has been turned, she has always taken an occasion to commend me, and say something extraordinary in my praise, which my landlady never failed to tell me, with such an air as if she was desired to tell me. Then if she sees me walking here, as I generally do every morning, the straight repairs to the window. Thus, do you see, stand you there. Now suppose me the lady. You look up at my window, and walk thus. Do you see? Then I run to the window, thus, clap my hands across, thus, and hang my head thus, turn my eyes languishing thus, as who should say, if it were the custom for women to make the first addresses, I would now beckon you up.
And is this all the hopes you have?
Why, is this nothing, gentlemen?
Nothing at all. And 6 to 4, the lady never thinks on you.
Not think on me? Egad, if she don't marry me, that's the arrantest jilt in Christendom.
How jilt?
Jilt? I jilt? Why, what the devil need she have made any inquiry after me, praised or looked at me, if she would not have me? Why did she give me encouragement?
Must a woman be obliged to marry every man she looks at?
I am not every man, gentlemen. Egad, I'm resolved all right to her. I'll know what she means by her insinuating carriage. I'll to the Rose and write my letter. If you'll go with me, gentlemen, you shall see what answer she'll send me.
Egad, I'm resolved to have good diversion with this fellow. Prithee, Captain, will you go with us?
I must pay a visit to an old mistress of mine that lodges hard by, but I'll come to you.
To be jilted! Egad, I can't bear the thoughts on it. Come, gentlemen.
The scene changes to Mrs. Plotwell's lodgings. Mrs. Plotwell, sola.
I grow weary of persecuting these blockheads. The very idea of a gallant is nauseous to me. Oh, that all women would but treat the fools as they deserve. Would they take my advice, no fop whose impertinence tended to the prejudice of virtue should escape unexposed. Their different turns of vice I'd show, that this censorious town might know the greatest monster in the world, the Beau.
Enter Bellmein.
The vanity of fops you say you'd show, that all intriguing belles might know there's danger in a noisy Beau.
Ha! Who's this that echoes my sound so justly, yet so much inverts the sense?
One that omits no pains to invert as many of your sex as he can, a true tried old friend to love.
Embracing her.
Captain Bellmein.
My charming Plotwell, as blooming, young, and fair as ever, as beautiful as martyrs' visions, and full of pleasure and delight as dreams of longing boys.
Oh, Lord, give me breath. Let me have a little air, or I shall die. So, well, where have you been all this while? And how have you spent your time? Lord, I think I have 1,000 questions to ask in one breath.
And I have as many to ask you, but can't spare time now. Some more pressing private business would take me wholly up, fitter for the next room. Shall we retire?
Pulling her.
No, stand off. If we retire, it must be upon conditions agreed to beforehand.
With all my heart, child. I was never better conditioned for a lady's service in all my life. Looky here. Here are conditions.
Shows a purse of gold.
Observe the conditions, and let's be happy, though I never thought you mercenary till now.
I am not so much displeased with your mistaking me as I should be with anyone else, for besides some allowance for your humour, your absence from town so long may excuse you from the knowledge of my present principles and designs. And as great a libertine as you profess yourself, I know the awful lustre of virtue has always met with due respect from you, and that respect is the only condition I require you to observe.
Ha! Why, what the devil is here, my old mistress, setting up for virtue? For heaven's sake, what do you mean, madam?
As I say, sir, that I am no more what you once knew me. Since your abode in Ireland, my uncle, who kept me from my estate, is dead, thank heaven, and I am now mistress of a fortune sufficient for my use, and had I possessed it sooner, I never had been what I was. But now I scorn mankind on terms like those. All innocent diversions I freely take. I keep the best company, pay and receive visits from the highest quality, people who are better bred than to examine into past conduct.
Hey, I find then that reputation is never lost, but in an empty pocket. Well then, thou'st grown virtuous, and I must never hope for the blessing again.
Never. But talk as free as you will, do but observe the rules of modesty. I like your company and conversation as well as ever. I am not so rigidly virtuous to appear saint. I can launch out and laugh with you sometimes, nay, perhaps contribute to your mirth. I'll give you a short account how I have passed my time in exposing to public view all the follies of your sex. That part of them, I mean, whose vanity brought them under my lash. Such whose Tiffany natures are so easily imposed upon to have the commonest drabs in town topped upon them for women of quality.
This town does abound with such as you speak of.
Oh, did you but see with what variety 'tis furnished, and how universally all men are infected with an itch after quality, you'd be convinced there's not one, from the gentleman of the bedchamber down to the groom in the stable, but thinks himself sufficiently qualified to deserve the favour of any lady in St. James's. I passed upon one for a countess, upon another for a duchess, another a baronet's lady, and so forth. The poor fools were lost in a cloud of ignorance, raised by the hurry of their own expectations.
Why, truly, it would surprise a man that never conversed with aught above a pit-mask to be invited to a lady's bed.
Such awkward address, and the means every man finds to recommend himself by, one for secrecy, the other wit, a third his person, so every fool finds something to think valuable in himself.
There's your weekly finicking dancing, singing woody fop who values himself upon writing billet doux,
and thinks his company so very agreeable that he persecutes people to death before they can get rid of his troublesome impertinence.
His chiefest talent conflicts in the repartee of an intrigue, but then there's your old hardened sinner.
Ay, he cries up secrecy and security. His years, wrinkles, and distorted body are sufficient defence against the slanderous tongue. He values himself more for what he has been than for what he is, recommending himself upon his knowledge and experience,
and his great judgment in the happy management of an intrigue. But the man of sense,
him all women ought to shun that fear coming under his power. He approaches securely,
addresses cunningly,
insinuates himself slyly into a lady's favour,
then seizes his prey at once,
embracing her.
Oh, Lord, hold off!
Enter Plotwell's maid and whispers her. Bellmein aside.
Fox, take her for coming so unluckily. This denial of hers gives me as much desire as a new face that she should grow so unfeasibly virtuous. Well, madam, you have business, I see. I'll take my leave. Some other time I'll hear it out.
My business at present is for the good of your friend Manley, and I don't know but we may have occasion for your head to help us out.
My head, together with the rest of my body, is at your service, madam, whenever you please to command your humble servant.
Exit.
Clarinda desires to speak with me at her father's house, say you?
Yes, madam, instantly.
I'll wait on her.
Scene changes to a tavern. Toper and Ogle sealing a letter.
Here, porter, carry this letter, as 'tis directed, and bring me an answer.
Yes, sir.
Sir William Mode within.
Your drawer, show a room and send your master to me.
Toper aside.
Ah, that's Mode's voice. A good hint. I'll have rare sport with these two puppies.
I think I heard Sir William Mode's voice. Prithee, Toper, desire him to walk in.
Not for the world.
No? Why, pray?
I know not, but somebody has told him that you are his rival, and he swears he'll cut your throat wherever he sees you.
How? I his rival? Where, pray you?
In Clarinda, I suppose.
But is it possible Sir William Mode should be my rival, and never tell me on it? But he's such an egregious coxcomb that he gives me no pain.
He called you, fop, blockhead, baboon. and said he'd make mincemeat of you.
Oh, impossible, sir. He could not mean me.
Do you think I lie, sir?
Oh, by no means, sir.
Had any man said so much of me, I would have made the sun shine through him. And I think you ought to send him a challenge.
What challenge, my friend? By no means, sir. Why, sir, he is my friend.
So much the worse. You ought to resent an affront from him the more for that.
Oh, sir, you don't know us. We never mind what we say of one another. I dare swear he never meant it an affront.
You lie, sir. He did mean it an affront.
Sir, I heartily beg your pardon. I believe he did because you say it. Sir, else I should not believe it.
Sir, I say you must fight him, and I'll carry the challenge.
That's a sure way that I'll challenge him, but how to come off as sure? Hang me if I know. Look you, Mr. Toper, I have not the ready use of both my legs, for, dancing at a private ball t'other night, I cut something higher than usually, and pitched upon a cherry stone, which turned my foot so violently that I vow I have been lame ever since, so that positively I can't fight.
Zounds! I believe you dare not fight him.
Pardon me, sir. I dare fight any man that will but give me time to prepare myself for a duel, for I think there should be a diet used for fighting as well as running.
Well, I find what you hint at. I'll engage to bring you off safe.
As how, pray?
Why, as thus. Do you challenge him, and when you meet, draw your sword.
But suppose he draws again?
Then I'll step in and part you, so you are good friends.
Toper, aside.
For I don't design you shall fight in earnest.
A very good project.
Come, come, write 3 words to him upon this paper.
But you'll be sure to part us?
Aye, certainly.
Ogle writes.
Now I wish Bellmein was here to share the diversion.
There, sir, there's enough.
Let me see. Sir, you must resign all pretensions to Clarinda, or fight me immediately. I wait in the next room for your answer. Ogle. So, very well. Do you stay here? I'll be back in a minute.
Scene changes to another room in the same house. Sir William and the tavern man.
This hermitage is not brisk.
Upon my word, Sir William, there's no better in London.
It is not so good as the last you sent me.
It is the very same, sir.
Well, send me in 4 dozen.
And how much champagne, Sir William?
4 dozen of that, too. And 4 of the Burgundy.
You shall have it, sir.
Exit. Enter Toper.
Sir William, I'm your humble servant.
Mr. Toper, your servant. Pray, how did you know I was here? I'm not usually found in a tavern.
I heard your voice, Sir William. Just as you entered, I was engaged in a quarrel of yours.
Of mine?
Aye. Sir William, 'tis a damned foolish business. I would have made it up, but I found it impossible, so that, being your friend, I undertook to deliver you this.
Gives him the letter.
How's this? A challenge from Ogle? Certainly the fellow's drunk, or he'd never do this.
No, that he is not, I'll promise you. He's sober enough, but in a damned passion. He says you're a fop, fool, nay, coward. If I might advise you, You should fight him instantly. 'Sdeath, were I in your place, Sir William, such a dog should not dare to look, nay, think of a woman I design to marry.
Sir William, aside.
I hate fighting, but I dare not tell this blustering fellow so. Nay, I know he's a blockhead and a coward too, but what courage love may have infused into him I know not. Why, what the devil, he said not a word of his passion to me yesterday. He dined with me.
He did not know it then, but now he swears he'll spoil your handsome face.
Oh, Lord, I'd rather be run through the body and feeble me. Oh, my soul, I wonder what makes men so stout.
I'll tell you, Sir William, courage is nothing, nothing at all. Now, if you look big, talk loud, and be very angry, you'll frighten a man that can't do so well as you. So you are reckoned a stout man, and he that can do it better is a stouter man than you, that's all.
Is that all? Why, then I'm resolved to be stout and feeble me. But suppose he should draw?
Why, then I'll step in and part you.
A very good piece of contrivance, pay my vigour.
Be sure you get the first word, for there's advantage in having the first word.
Enter drawer.
Did you call, gentlemen?
Aye. Is Mr. Ogle below?
Yes, sir.
Hold, I'll fetch him myself.
Exit.
Now I am confoundedly afraid lest this fellow should let us fight in earnest.
Re-enter Toper and Ogle, to whom he speaks at entering.
Be sure you speak angrily, as if you would not hear what I say.
Be sure you part us then, sir. I say I will hear of no reconciliation, except he resign Clarinda.
Toper runs to Sir William.
He's in a damned passion. Your hand to your sword quickly, Sir William. Fear nothing, I'll stand by you.
As soon as they see one another, they run and embrace.
Mr. Ogle.
Sir William!
Dear Mr. Ogle, I'm glad to see you.
Zounds, I have taken all this pains for this. Harkye, Sir William, damn you, draw upon him, or I'll draw upon you. Do you hear? No reply, but draw. Do you hear?
Oh, heaven! I must draw in my own defence, and I'm sure there's less danger in Ogle than in this fellow.
Draws.
I think, Mr. Ogle, you sent me a challenge just now by Mr. Toper, and having paid the ceremony due to friends and acquaintance, you must draw, sir, and return my compliment.
Aside.
I'll be sure to have somebody to part us, though.
Runs and knocks at the door with his foot.
Harkye, Ogle, you have ruined yourself by letting him get the advantage. Draw, sir.
Draw, sir. Why, sir, my passion was over upon my faith. Ho, here's folks now. I am resolved to draw now.
Draws. Enter two drawers. One runs to Sir William, t'other to Ogle, and holds him.
Oh, stand off. I'd rather be run through the guts than you should touch me with your dirty apron to adorable my clothes. Off, scoundrel!
Toper holds Ogle.
Let him come, let him come. One thrust will decide our dispute.
Pray give us way, 'twill soon be ended.
Enter Bellmein.
Hey, Day, what's here, swords drawn? Nay, then I'll make one in the number.
Draws.
Why, what the devil do you hold the gentleman for? Let 'em go, and give one another satisfaction. 'Sdeath, I'll fight that man that shall but offer to hold him.
Takes off the drawers and Toper.
Why don't you fight now, gentlemen?
A pox take him for his brutish civility.
When they are at liberty, they stand and look at one another. Sir William goes to Ogle and speaks in a low voice.
Harkee, Mr. Ogle, do you come along with me and we'll contrive some way to make these fellows believe we dare fight.
Agreed.
Come, Mr. Ogle, you shall go along with me. We will find a more convenient place to decide this business in where friends shall not interrupt. You shall hear of a duel, gentlemen, though it is not proper to see it. Your humble servant.
Exit.
With all my heart, I dare fight you anywhere.
That's a lie. Prithee, order thy footman to watch him. I fancy they'll have some comical stratagem to deceive us.
With all my heart, Dyer here, be sure you take notice where they go, and bring me word.
Exit servant.
Prithee, how didst work him up to this?
With a world of pains and difficulty, I assure you. But there is no fear of their doing one another any harm in a fighting way. Is not that Colonel Manley yonder?
'Tis, and I have some business with him. Will you walk?
My business at present lies another way, else I'd be glad to drink a bottle with him. For though we roar and rake and broils commence, yet give me for a friend a man of sense.
The end of the second act. Act 3 of The Beau's Duel, or A Soldier for the Ladies, by Susanna Centlivre. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 3, Scene 1. Scene, Carefull's house. Carefull soulless, with Ogle's letter.
Very fine. I see my daughter is resolved to have strings enow her bow. Death to give encouragement to a dog that has neither wit nor money to recommend him. A good Mr. Ogle. If I catch you ogling there, I'll hamstring you. I can tell you that for your comfort. I'm glad I got the letter before her. My spark's very familiar, methinks.
Reads.
Madam, I informed you entertain Sir William Mode. If so, I desire to know the reason why you encourage me. I am not to be fooled. Who the devil is this coxcomb? If you clear not this imputation, I shall believe you design to jilt me. Very complaisant, truly, and a purbearer, as you value your admirer Ogle. Yes, I have answered purbearer with a broken pate, and I with yours had been in his place. Lord, Lord, who would be plagued with children? I am resolved she shall marry Sir William to-morrow. Why, she'll have as many fellows at her heels as her colonel has soldiers waiting for their pay. Why, what a medley of suitors has she! Fighters, fools, and fops. Well, since you are so fickle, mistress, I'll fix you presently, or marry myself. Mr. Toper was wishing me to a cousin of his, who will be in town to-day. At odd, if this perverse baggage make one scruple of obeying my will, I'll have her, and try if her mother-in-law won't hamper her. But I'll in, and send for Sir William immediately.
Exit. The scene changes to another room in the same house. Clarinda and Amelia, dressing in boys' clothes, Mrs. Plotwell with them.
Here, on with your manhood, quickly!
I fear, Clarinda, this masquerade will not be reputable for women of nice honour.
Oh, don't fear that, since you only wear it to do yourselves justice. For justice can never be dishonourable.
You are not insensible, cousin, how resolutely my cruel father persecutes me with this fop. Therefore, since poor Clarinda is in all this danger, I, my own knight-errant, and thou, my trusty squire, will march en cavalier, and deliver the distressed damsel by beating the giant into a pygmy. Then be our own heralds, and proclaim our victory to my father, and hollow the coward so loud in his ears that we will shame him out of all thoughts of this fool.
If that don't do it, my plot shall. Toper has broke it to him, as I told you.
I readily submit to any proposal of yours, and will rely on your contrivance.
You may command me, but be quick and dress. Who told you of this duel?
Sir William's valet makes love to my woman. Through him we discover the time and place. But I know not the grounds of this quarrel.
That, I suppose, is your ladyship, for Mr. Ogle publicly declares you are in love with him.
Ogle? Who is he?
A foolish fellow about town. He lodges at Mrs. Commode's, your milliner.
Oh, heavens! I believe I've seen him pass through the shop, but never had curiosity enough to ask his name. In love with him? I should as soon be in love with a weasel. Why is he Sir William's antagonist? I fancy we shall have rare sport.
They are as like two peas in everything but estate, and in that Sir William outdoes him.
He is the very quintessence of foppery. His name and nature suits exactly, for he's a nice observer of the modes. His valet is forced to counterfeit a Frenchman, or he would turn him away.
Ridiculous enough. Well, thus dressed. Now what are we to do?
Why, when we're sated with their sordid foppery, we'll kick them into better manners.
How kick, Clarinda? If they should return our compliment, I shall quickly discover my manhood to be counterfeit.
Never fear it. They won't fight with a mouse, I dare swear, if it were out of a trap.
I know Sir William's a coward. I'd been often told so, and to prove it, I sent him a challenge as from one Mr. Roughly. His man said it put him in such a consternation he should never forget him. He sent me word that he'd meet me at the Calais sands and give me satisfaction.
A good excuse. Indeed, he is fit for nothing but to set upon one's cabinet to watch one's china. Well, I wish you good sport, and am your humble servant.
Exit Mrs. Plotwell.
I'm resolved, ere I'll be forced into the arms of a person I loathe and despise. The passion I have for Colonel Manley will tempt me to make him my sanctuary.
Amelia, aside.
I must tell her of his falsehood, the thoughts of which have turned all the foolish passion I had conceived. Take care, Clarinda. You ben't deceived in him.
What do you mean, Amelia?
That he is false.
False? Impossible! How do you know this?
I have the best proof in the world of it. Ocular demonstration. He makes love to me. Nay, don't start. Had I not been too much your friend, Clarinda, I had not let you into the secret. For upon my word, I don't think him disagreeable.
Clarinda, aside.
Oh, heavens! She's in love with him, and therefore would slyly persuade me into an ill opinion of him. How know you 'tis he, cousin?
I am sure that gentleman that bowed us into the side-box the first night I came to town has ever since pursued me with most violent love, and I must confess I liked his humour so well that I could not be displeased with his playing the fool.
Where did you see him next? How got he an opportunity?
You know the next night I went out with only my woman.
I remember.
Why, then I went to the play in a mask, on purpose for a little diversion, and 'twas my fortune to sit next to him in the pit, where during the playtime he entertained me with the prettiest discourse in the world, and when 'twas done he would not part with me till I had promised to write him, and I could not help keeping my word, if I was to be hanged. But finding him false to you, I hate him. This letter I have writ to upbraid him.
Shows a letter.
How's this? For Mr. Celadon?
Aye, we pass upon one another for Celadon and Chloe. For my part, I did not inquire his name, because he should not ask mine.
Did he ever ask your name, nor tell you his?
No, and I suppose that was his policy to prevent a discovery to you.
Enter Clarinda's maid, giving her a letter.
Ah, 'tis from Manley. What's this?
Reads.
The private encouragement you give that fop, Sir William, is not so closely managed to escape a jealous lover's eye that sees you everywhere. To be deceived touches my tenderest part, especially from one I thought my own. But we are subject to mistakes. I find that I am so in you. My eyes, my ears are all witnesses. I shall take what care I can not to be troublesome to you, since I find you no longer value the peace of manly. Oh, monstrous, perfidious mankind! Oh, I perceive your drift. He charges me with this fool on purpose to find pretence for his own falsehood. It is a poor excuse. But what won't men fall into when they quit their honor? Oh, that I had but an opportunity of upbraiding him to his face.
That you shall. He knows not yet of the discovery. I'll write to him to come here. I have no reason to suspect his disobeying the summons, no more now than formerly.
Did he use to meet you, then?
Most punctually. But I'll in and write to him, and be here in a minute.
Exit.
Well, it is impossible to dive into the heart of man, for sure he has the face of truth. Nay, I can hardly believe he's false yet. So deep an impression did his seeming honesty stamp upon my soul.
Re-enter Amelia.
I have sent it away, and I doubt not but to convince you of the truth of what I say. But come, don't think on it now, but let's begone. Methinks I long to bully these cowards. Pray heaven they prove so.
Deuce on it! This will destroy half the satisfaction I promised myself from this frolic. But come, if we succeed in Proteus's artful school, the world shall say a very Beau's a fool.
Exit. Scene, Hyde Park. Enter Sir William and Ogle with files, pumps, and nightcaps.
Here's a weapon, Mr. Ogle will decide the quarrel as well as e'er a sharp in Christendom and without danger.
An admirable contrivance, Sir William, for now they'll hear of a duel, and we reckoned such skilful artists that neither could overcome.
Right. I think a gentleman ought to wear a sharp for a terror to the vulgar, and because 'tis the fashion. But he should never use it but as an ornament and part of his dress. I hope to see it as much a fashion to fight with files as to fence with them. If I was a member of Parliament, I'd bring in a bill against duelling. I'm sure the clause would pass, for there's a majority in the House of my constitution. Come, approach, suffer.
Enter Clarinda and Amelia with their swords drawn.
Hold, gentlemen! I'm bound in honor to part you. Ha! What's this?
Files, upon my honor.
Why do you laugh, gentlemen? I think this is the nicest way of deciding a quarrel. The other is fit for none but bullies and soldiers that get their bread by it. 'Tis easily seen this way who's the most skill. And pray, what is got by the other more rude method but a scandalous character or a shameful death?
And by my consent, he that draws a sword out of the immediate service of the king should be hanged.
Say you so, sir? Now, hear my sentiments. He that would not draw a sword upon any just account should be kicked thus, and thus, sir.
Kicks him.
What do you mean, gentlemen?
Only to rub your courage a little.
What's that, sir?
You don't hear well, sir. I'll lengthen your ears a little.
Pulls him by the ears.
I wonder that you, who look so like a gentleman, should be guilty of such ill-bred actions. Fie, kick and cough. Exercises for footmen. Pray learn better carriage of us.
I'd as soon learn manners of a Muscovite.
Pray, sir, who are you? And what affairs led you hither?
I'm a servant to Clarinda, and consequently a rival of yours.
Ogle aside.
Oh, Lord, a rival of mine, too.
I came hither to kick you and expose you when I had done. The first, you are sensible, I have performed, and from that instance of my honesty, you may take my word for the rest.
Sir William aside.
I am undone. Blister me. The very shadow of a Jew be not unfortunate.
Enter Colonel Manley and Captain Bellmein.
Why, how now, young gentlemen? Are you breathing yourselves, or giving lessons in the Stoic philosophy to those patient disciples?
Or have you a journey to ride that you are getting your backside hardened for it?
Sir William aside.
Manly here, I'd compound for half my estate, blister me.
Ha! Manly here. We must retire, cousin, lest it spoils our plot, as doubtless it will, if he knows us.
Methinks I could even here reproach him.
Exit Clarinda and Amelia.
This is hearing of a duel. Indeed, files. Ha ha ha. You was resolved to prevent murder. You need never fear the exaltation of the gallows, for your courage reaches but to a chance medley at most.
Prithee, who are those gentlemen, Sir William? Methinks they used you very familiarly.
Men of no honour, you may conclude, Colonel, else they would not have affronted gentlemen when they found them defenceless.
Right, but why would you be so defenceless? Faith, Sir William, if this news reaches your mistress's ears, it will ruin you in her favour. Take this for a rule. The less regard you have for your honour, the more you sink in esteem with your mistress. For all women hate a coward. You ought to be forbid the habits of men, who can be guilty of effeminacy that even women would blush at.
Why, gentlemen, I think Pasiphae sits well enough upon men that have estates and have a mind to live and enjoy them.
Damn him for a cowardly blockhead. Prithee, let's go. I'm sick of their folly. Besides, you said you would convince me of Clarinda's falsehood.
Enter Bellmein's man and gives him a letter.
I have run, sir, all the way, for the porter told me it must be given you that moment.
Ha! That's a lucky hit, Colonel. She invites me to come to her lodging, and her servant should be ready to convey me into her apartment. Here, read it, man. Now you may convince yourself. Egad, if I were not a damned honest fellow to my friend, now could I pass 3 hours the most agreeable in the world? Pox on me for a prating coxcomb. Could not I have held my tongue? Well, what think you of it, Colonel?
It is not her hand, but that's nothing. She might disguise that to conceal it from me. I know not what to think, but I'm resolved to go, and if I find her false, 'twill cure me effectually.
Come on, then.
Exeunt.
I have been considering all this while upon what the Colonel said, and I am resolved to be valiant. For if ladies don't like a coward, I shall never get a fortune. For aught I know, I may fight as well as anybody. I'm resolved to try. Harkee, Sir William, our servants are hereby. Let's send for our swords and fight in earnest.
Not I, Mr. Ogle. I declare against fighting positively.
But I declare for fighting, and so shall you, or resign all pretensions to Clarinda. For I design to marry her myself. Therefore don't think of her. Do you hear?
You marry her? Ha, 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 ha.
Zounds, sir! Dare you laugh at a gentleman, yet dare not fight? Take that, sir!
Strikes up his heels.
And the next time I hear you speak a word more of her, I'll cut your throat, and so goodbye. So, this is one step towards courage. I'm resolved to challenge every man that pretends to a fortune, till I have got one myself. And now my hand's in, I'll challenge this colonel the next time I see him, though at the head of his regiment.
Rat, this blockhead, what a metamorphosis is here! 'Tis well I fell upon my cloak, or I had daubed all my clothes, blister me. Well, to sing, dance, or court a lady, or any such gentlemanlike employments, I'll turn my back to none. But for the slovenly exercise of fighting, I shall ne'er be brought to endure it, and impair my vigour.
Exit. Scene, Careful's house. Careful pulling in Amelia in boy's clothes.
Who the devil have we here? Nay, nay, sir, I must see your face. Another gallant of my daughter's, I warrant. Who are you, sir? From whence come you? What business have you in my house, ha?
Oh, Lord, what shall I say to this old fellow? He'll certainly know me.
What are you studying for a lie, sir? Adored, I shall make you find your tongue. Speak quickly, or I'll cut your throat, you dog, you.
Draws.
Ah! Oh, Lord! A sword! For heaven's sake, sir! Oh, Lord, sir! Don't you know me?
Know you, sir? Who the pox are you, sir? Ha! Amelia? Why, what masquerade's this? Where's my daughter?
Enter Clarinda.
Ho, sir, your humble servant. Why, what a pox are you going into the service? You were too pretty, volunteers, faith.
Ha! My father! What shall I say? I'll e'en face it out, since he has catched me. We have done a friend of yours some service, sir.
A friend of mine? As how, pray, forsooth?
Why, you must know, sir. I was informed of a duel between Sir William Mode and a brother Beau of his. The concern I knew you had for Sir William's safety engaged my care and prevention. I was unwilling to expose him by fending anybody else, so that my cousin and I, by the help of this disguise, parted them. But we should not need to have made such haste, for the puppies were trying their valor safely with a couple of files.
Ha, ha, ha. And this was the occasion of your being in breeches, ha?
And I think it a good project too, uncle.
You do? Well, daughter, pray let's have you in your feminine capacity again. For though you bully in breeches, I hope you'll marry in petticoats.
Marry, sir?
Yes, forsooth. I have sent for Sir William in order to have the settlement completed tonight, and tomorrow your honour shall rise with the sun. That is to say, you shall be my Lady Mode.
Honour? Sir! Where is the honour in such a husband? I hope, sir, you will not marry me to a coward. Why, there's not a needy bully around town but will beat a maintenance out of him. And where is the reputation in such a marriage?
But he'll make a swinging jointure. And if you don't like him when you have him, you may live apart.
Oh, heaven! What shall I say? Sir, I beg you'll delay your purpose for a month.
Not for a day.
Sir, I have sworn not to marry this month.
Have you so? Pray, who have you sworn to, mistress? To Mr. Ogle, ha?
Ogle? Who is he, pray, sir? Heaven, has my father got this story too?
You don't know such a person? I'll warrant you as Mr. Ogle?
I have seen such a fellow, sir, but never spoke to him.
No. Look in my face. You never spoke to him? That is, encouraged his love?
No, upon my honour.
You lie. You have no honour. Read that.
Throws the letter.
And do you hear? Resolve to marry Sir William tomorrow by 6, or I'll marry myself before 12. So take your choice. I'll ogle you, and soldier you with a pox to you.
Exit.
Oh, the impudence of Ogle! I'll have the rascal toffed in a blanket. See, Amelia, what an audacious letter 'tis. Bless me, I have no patience. I encourage such a rascal.
He is very familiar, methinks. Hang him. The fool's below your anger. Never think on it. Come, prithee think which way to turn yourself if the colonel be false, as I dare swear he is. What think you of marrying Sir William? He is master of a fair estate, which you may make subservient to your pleasures, to make life's rugged journey pass the smoother. If he be true, as you have but little reason to think he is, you may yet find some way to accomplish your desires. Come, the time draws on, in which you'll be convinced of this truth or falsehood. Come what will, resolve to be content, and trust to fortune for the wished event.
Exit. Enter careful Toper and Mrs. Plotwell, dressed like a Quaker.
Mr. Toper, your cousin is welcome. My house is at your service, madame.
I thank thee, but pray thee do not madam me. My name is Anne.
A very handsome woman, and very modestly dressed.
I have used all the arguments in my power to convert her from this formality, but in vain. She's as averse to the fashions as other women are fond of 'em. But I hope your niece and daughter will work a reformation in her.
I rather hope she'll work one in them. I'll assure you I'll recommend her as a pattern. Is this the woman you would recommend to me for a wife, Mr. Toper?
The same, sir.
I protest I like her exceedingly. She seems cut out on purpose for me. Her plain way of living will improve my estate, and her morals will hamper my daughter. I like a religious woman.
You can't be better matched if she has not too much. Yesterday I carried her to wait on a relation of ours that has a parrot, and whilst I was discoursing about some private business, she converted the bird, and now it talks of nothing but the light of the spirit and the inward man.
Good lack, good lack.
Well, well, thee wilt never leave thy ridiculous jests. I say that mankind were not made for foppery and pride, but to do good in their generation. Prithee show me one text of scripture for the fashions, or where jewels are commanded, or what holy matron ever had a valet to dress them, as they say the French ladies have. Oh, monstrous fashion! No, no, our devoutest women wore coarse linen, or rather none at all.
Ah, such saints as wore their congregations without-side, and swarmed with Christian vermin, it must be them. But you hold every handsome garment a sin.
Handsome garment? Verily, I believe, if we are punished with taxes again to carry on another war, 'twill be a just judgment upon this sinful land for their long wigs, hooped coats, furbelows, false teeth, and patches.
Truly, I am of her opinion. She speaks like an oracle, for the devil was never so proud as our women are nowadays.
Aside.
I'm resolved, if my daughter shew the least reluctance to my will to marry her out of hand, I'll motion it to her, and try how she likes me. What think you of a husband, forsooth? For to be plain with you, your extraordinary qualities have raised a great desire in me of becoming such.
I doubt, friend. Thou'd expect a larger fortune than I am dame of.
I protest, I don't care if you have not a groat. Your virtue's a wealthy dowry to me. Say you'll but have me, and 'tis enough.
But it may be thou'lt be against my course of life. I love retirement, must have time for my devotion in my own way. I'm not used to the ceremony of visits, and hate tea-table vanity and card-play, as they call it.
Our plot takes rarely.
This makes me love you more.
One thing more, thou hast a daughter, they say, a topping gallant, which I desire to see and try if good admonitions, together with example, won't reform her. For plainly, I don't care to come under the roof where children are, if they be not dutiful. So I must see her first, ere I can give thee my answer.
That you shall presently. Here, carry this gentlewoman to my daughter, and tell her she must entertain her as her mother that is to be. Tell her so from me, d'ye hear?
Exit Mrs. Plotwell and servant.
Really, Mr. Toper, your cousin is a profound Christian. If my daughter refuse to marry Sir William, I'll jointure her in my whole estate.
Well, for aught I know, you can't do better than marry. For who would be plagued with a disobedient child?
Especially when they depend upon us for their fortunes. The devil young fellow would care a souse for their persons, did not our purse strings draw. Here, forsooth, my daughter is running mad after a soldier, a fellow whose fortune depends upon his sword, and here we are going to wars again, and fixed afore but a cannon bullet takes his head off, and then the wife is turned home to her father again, and in such cases a father has never disposed of his children entirely, and all the jointure she'll bring will consist of housings, holster caps, pistols, swords, and so forth.
Enter servant.
Here's Sir William Mode below, sir.
Tell him I'll wait on him presently. Come, Mr. Topher, you shall be witness of our agreement. I sent for him to complete the business. Sign, seal tonight, and tomorrow we'll have a dance.
Exit.
I fancy we shall drive dancing out of your head, old gentleman.
Exit. End of the third act. Act 4 of The Beau's Duel, or A Soldier for the Ladies, by Susanna Centlivre. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 4, Scene 1. Enter Clarinda, Amelia, and Mrs. Plotwell.
Well, in my conscience, the first sight of you frightened me horribly, though I knew your plot. I vow, you make a sanctified figure.
Might I pass upon the brethren, think you?
Ay, and hold forth too, I'll warrant you, without being discovered. But is my uncle so hot upon matrimony, say you?
As a hound upon the scent, though he'll share no more of the pleasure than the dog of the game he runs down.
I vow I can't help laughing to think of what a trick we shall play upon him. But the deuce on it, I cannot be heartily merry till I see the event of this meeting. I long till the colonel comes.
So do I as much as you, to upbraid him with his treachery.
Enter maid and whispers them.
In my conscience he's here. Show him into my chamber. Tell him I'll wait on him presently. Now, Clarinda, you shall go in my place.
Heavens, oh, how I tremble! Oh, the perfidious wretch! Sure, he's quite lost of virtue that he dares thus impudently venture into the very house. Oh, give me patience, heaven, and power to back my resolution, and scorn enough to show my deep resentment.
Exit Clarinda.
I'll to the old man, and keep him in discourse, that he mayn't interrupt you.
Exit.
Do so. I must listen a little to hear what reception she gives him.
Exit. Enter Colonel Manley solus.
This love makes men the errantest asses in the world. What blustering Mars, with all his steely garniture of war, could never do, this blind boy does with a feathered reed. Oh, my soul, I think I'm grown a coward and begin to fear. My heart beats faster than a raw soldier's in his first engagement, or a longing maid in the arms of a man she likes when opportunity creates her fears. Sure, it cannot be Clarinda.
Enter Clarinda. Colonel Manley, aside.
Ha! By heaven, the very crocodile.
Clarinda, aside.
By all my hopes of happiness, the very monster.
Madam, you are surprised, I believe, not to meet the man you expected. I beg your pardon for this disappointment.
Oh, indignation! No, sir. I have but the man I expected, though you are disappointed in your woman.
What does she mean? Have you a stratagem, madam, to bring you off? Come, I'll help you. Say you happened into this room by chance, and had no knowledge of the plot, expected no gallant.
Oh, unheard of impudence! A gallant? No, thou monster of ingratitude! Have I refused all mankind for thee? Nay, broke in upon the rules of my obedience that I might keep my faith inviolate. And am I thus rewarded? Is it not enough that you are false, and that I see you of? But you must add to your barbarity and throw a scandal on my fame to hide your base proceeding. Marry thee? No! From this moment I resolve to hate, and to put it out of thy power ever to deceive me a second time. I'll marry instantly.
Bellmein peeping.
I must hear how the colonel succeeds in my place.
It is enough I know thee guilty of that very crime thou wouldst impose on me. Know that you writ to my friend to come here, with whom you have had many private conferences, though I, heaven knows, would not believe it till my eyes convinced me. But now thy crimes are obvious to my sight, and I take thee at thy word, and from this moment I'll never see you more. Confusion on your sex.
Exit.
His friend. What can he mean? Sure there's some mistake in this, yet I cannot call him back.
Enter Amelia pulling in Bellmein.
What have we, eavesdroppers? Oh, heavens! Why, was not you with my cousin?
Day. Why was not you with the colonel?
Why are you not the colonel?
No, faith. And now I must begin to suspect you are not Clarinda.
You are in the right indeed. I am not.
Oh, heavens! I'm undone. Manly's innocent. Oh.
No, madam. I'll call my friend back immediately. He shall beg pardon upon the spot. Why, what a damned mistake is here. Faith, he's gone, but here's an old gentleman coming up.
Goes to the door and returns quickly.
Oh, Lord, my father! I'm undone if he finds a man here. What shall I do? This was your project, Amelia.
Ha! The death, madam, where shall I run? For methinks I would not do any more mischief. What shall I do, ladies?
Ha! A lucky thought comes into my head. Here, lie down upon this mat.
With all my heart, pox on it, to be thus put to it for nothing. If I had but got a maidenhead or made a cuckold, it would not have vexed me.
Lies down, and they roll him up. Enter Careful and tumbles over the mat.
There, lie still.
A pox on your pride. We must have mats with a vengeance. But I'll turn over a new leaf with this house. I'll warrant you, I'll have no mats, but such as lie under the feather beds. Here, I might have broke my neck.
Enter Toby.
Sirrah, remove that mat, and do you hear? Throw it into the horse pond. I'll have no more mats in my house.
Mat? 'Tis damn heavy. Come out here. I believe the dog's got into it.
Clarinda aside.
Oh, Lord, what shall I do?
The man goes to take up the mat and finds it heavy, shakes it, and out drops Bellmein.
The horse pond. Nay, then, 'tis time to shift for myself.
Here.
Runs to Toby.
There's a guinea for you, Toby. Bring him off some way or other.
Ha! What was that?
Bark, sir, bark. Only the great dog, sir, was crept in the mat.
Woof, 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 woof.
Creeps off quick.
Rarely done. Expect a better reward for this, Toby.
The dog, was it? I protest I thought it had been a thief.
No, sir, nothing else.
Exit with the mat.
Why, how now? Methinks you are mightily prinked up. Mercy upon me, what a bush of hair is there first out! In my conscience, I believe you have got the foretop of some beau's wig.
That's the fashion, uncle. You would not have us dress like my quaking aunt that is to be.
How now, saucebox? Your quaking aunt, quotha?
Sir, I hope you don't design to marry that thing.
Thing, do you call her? I cod you shall marry Sir William immediately, or call that thing mother, I can tell you that.
Oh, heavens, what shall I do?
Enter Sir William and Mrs. Plotwell.
Here, Sir William, I give her to your arms. I'll have my coach harnessed and to church this moment.
Madam, though I don't pretend to be a beau, yet I hope the world will distinguish the difference between a rough, unhewn soldier and a polished gentleman. I don't in the least hint at manly.
Clarinda aside.
Insipid coxcomb.
Emilia to Plotwell.
For heaven's sake, invent some way to give her an hour's time to consider, or she's undone.
Friend, shall I speak one word with thee?
20, if you please.
Let me advise thee, do not be so passionate with thy daughter. The little discourse I had with her showed her to be tractable. If thou think'st fit, I'll read her the other lesson upon her duty, and I don't doubt but she'll comply.
With all my heart, for whatever thou sayest must be for her good. I'm convinced. Sir William, we'll go take a glass in the next room till the bride be ready, and then...
And then, madam, I shall be the happiest man alive. If I will change conditions with the Tsar of Muscovy, may I be condemned to the smoke of tobacco and never know the pleasure of taking snuff.
Exit.
A very courtly wish indeed.
Come, don't trifle away the time I have given you, but write to Manly and beg him to protect you and rescue you from the arms of this fool.
Oh, how can I write to him whom I have abused?
And did he not pay you in the same coin? Come, come, this little mistake rather serves to increase his love than diminish it. When he finds you true, as no doubt but Bellmein has told him ere this, he'll be glad to accept the conditions. Come, come, write to him. Toper is within, and he shall carry it.
Well, it being my last shift, I'll follow your advice.
Exit.
I do so. I'll warrant you a fortune, and the old man's consent, before I have done with him.
A drum beating up for volunteers. Bellmein crosses the stage, and a sergeant after him.
Captain! Captain!
Ha, Sergeant.
I have got the finest volunteer. A beau, Captain.
A beau? Nay, if the beaux begin to list, let the French look to it. Where is he, Sergeant?
He's coming now, sir.
I can't stay now, but I'll be here in a moment, and I'll bring the Colonel with me.
I'll wait on you, sir.
Exit. Enter Ogle.
The captain will be here in a moment, sir. But pray, sir, why will you go for a soldier? Methinks you might get a commission.
Because I dreamt, sir, I should be a general, and I have a mind to rise gradually. I hate jumping into honor at once.
Sir, I honor you. No doubt but your dream will come true.
Sir, I dreamt last night that I saw 2 armies join battle, and, methought, in the scuffle, my brains were knocked out, and when I waked, I wondered to find myself with all my limbs. I straight felt for my other leg, and suspected my eyes when they informed me I had both hands.
A very good dream, sir, and signifies your advancement.
Nay, after that, I had the strangest dream. My man found me scaling my curtains for a fort, killing my pillow, and entering duel with my breeches. Methought all the Trojan faces in the hangings were turned Frenchmen, and a famine raging amongst 'em. They resolved to eat me, so, casting dice what part of me to devour first, the lot fell upon my head. Now, sir, all these dreams I interpret quite contrary. I know I shall be a great man.
No doubt on it, sir.
Aside.
I'm afraid all this fellow's courage lies in his sleep. I'm resolved to sound him a little.
Prithee, sergeant, tell me, what sort of a thing a camp is?
Why, truly, sir, a camp would be a pleasant place, did the fields produce feather beds, or if the streams like those of the golden age did run pure wine, or if camp meals would every 12 and 7 observe due hours. But, sir, to be half-starved, on scarce fresh green sod, just so much earth to earth, and then to live the life of nature, or as some do call it, the life of the hardy, to quench one's thirst at the next spring, coffin up one's self each night in turf, and thence come forth like one of Cadmus's soldiers, sown with serpent's teeth, and start forth armed from a furrow, is a course of life I fear will never suit with your constitution.
'Tis something hard, truly, but no matter. I'm resolved.
Oh, this is nothing, sir. Here comes on a troop, and your honour can't but lose an eye. An engine there goes off, and you will show yourself a coward unless you lose an arm. Here you are surrounded, and then 'twere base to bring more than one shoulder off.
Ogle rubbing his shoulder. Aside.
Ha! I don't like it.
Nay, sir, consider ere you go, for 'tis a damned disgrace to have a nose after a battle, or to walk the streets upon your own legs.
I feel myself already partly composed of flesh, partly of wood. Methinks I hang between two crutches, like a man in chains, tossed by the wind. I don't like this slicing into reputation.
Enter Bellmein and Colonel Manley.
But these men that you raise, Sergeant, are they to go against the French or Spaniards?
Why do you ask, sir?
Because I cannot, in honour, draw my sword against the French.
How so, pray? You're no Jacobite, I hope.
Oh, sir, my scruples are not founded upon religion. But I'll tell you, that last long vacation, I made the tour of France and Lorraine, where I received such extraordinary marks of civility, particularly from the Duke of Berry, the Duke of Burgundy, and the Chevalier de Saint-Georges, and from the Governor of Calais, such extravagant obligations, but above all from the governor's daughter, that upon my soul I cannot descend so far from the punctilios of honour to go against 'em. But against Spain the colonel, I am resolved to fight him, however, death, hell, and furies. Draw, sir?
Draw, sir? For what, sir?
Sir, I say draw, sir, or else resign all pretensions to Clarinda.
Why, what a metamorphosis is here! Is this your volunteer, Sergeant?
Yes, sir, but if you had not come as you did, he had been gone, for I found his courage began to sink.
To Clarinda? How dares such a coxcomb as you name Clarinda?
Draws and disarms him.
Now, learn more wit, or get more courage.
Courage, sir, 'sdeath. Sir, I'll box with you.
Pulling off his neckcloth.
You've got my sword, but no matter for that. I'll fight it out at fists. Lose a fortune for want of fighting, no.
I'll box with you, dog.
To the sergeant.
Give me the cane. Sirrah, I'll make mummy of your bones. I'll make you forswear sauntering after fortunes. Nay, you shall not dare to look towards the house where they live, or so much as think of them.
Beats him all this time.
Oh, Lord, sir, for heaven's sake, sir, I'll observe the conditions.
Nay, now, you are too rigid. I dare promise for Mr. Ogle.
I will indeed, sir. Only let me think of them. For who can help thinking, sir?
No. Here, sergeant, take this fellow, and let him run the gantelope. I'll think you, sirrah.
Oh, Lord, sir, spare that, and I will not think of 'em, upon my faith, sir.
Nay, one thing more you must promise, which is to resume your wonted cowardice, and betake you to your desk again. Go, take money of the men you meant to cozen. Talk little, except when you are paid for't. 'Tis an antidote against beating. Keep your hand from your sword and your laundress's petticoats, and you'll live at peace.
I will, Colonel. Give me wisdom that is beaten into a man, for that sticks to him, egad. I'm wiser than a justice of peace. Your precepts are very learned. Sir, I'm your humble servant. Farewell, sword, and welcome tongue again. Now can't I positively tell whether 'tis best to be courageous or to have no courage at all? Beaten if I fight, and beaten if I do not. Now, I think I know something of the law, and yet if the question was put to me, I could not resolve it. But for my own part, I'll lay courage down, as all men do when they take up the gown. Cloaked with the law, I may securely bawl, and who affronts me then shall pay for all.
Exit.
Ha 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 ha.
Enter Toper and gives the colonel a letter.
Ah, Colonel, opportunely met. I bring an express from the Queen of Beauty. Her orders are in that paper.
Ha! 'Tis Clarinda's hand.
Reads.
I hope by this time you are satisfied of my innocence, as I'm of yours. If not, I beg you by all the ties of honour to rescue me from this foolish knight, to whom I am this moment to be married, by the rigid command of my barbarous father. And if I don't clear your censures, use me as you please. Yours, Clarinda. Rescue thee, yes, the fool shall quit all pretensions to thee, unless this arm deceives me.
If it does, boy, here's another at thy service.
You may seize her at the end of the street as she passes. Be sure you marry her as soon as you have got her. Let me alone to bring her fortune. The captain must help our plot forward, as soon as he has helped you away with her.
With all my heart I love mischief. I have a plaguy hankering mind after this cousin, though e'er since Manly told me she has 10,000 pounds.
The yoke should be well lined, or 'twill be very uneasy at best.
Ay, there must be gold proportionable to the alloy, or 'twould not be current coin. Ha ha!
Well, I'm a good-natured fellow now, to spend my time in your business, when I have an assignation with one of the prettiest girls about town, faith.
Some old o'er-worn drab, I'll warrant, cast off by the beaux in town, and now is become a new face to the drunkards.
No, faith, she's a kept mistress. She cost me not a sou.
Thou art still labouring between two tides, wine and women. Wilt thou never take up till thou art confined by a doctor to dry diet?
Dry diet? You don't mean a wife, I hope. Catch me at that meat and choke me with it. That's just as a confinement to sea biscuit at land. Though I'd do you all the service I can, Colonel, in helping you to your mistress, yet I can't help lamenting the loss of a friend.
Why, will matrimony lose me to my friends? I shall love them as well as ever, I assure you.
Aye, but your friends won't care that,
snapping his fingers,
for you. For ere the second bottle, you'll be calling, "What's to pay?" Your wife won't go to bed till you come home. This makes company uneasy, and what makes us uneasy decreases our value for it. For my part, I had rather be confined to seamen in a storm, or the malicious conversation of a Jacobite club, than the company of a married man. For at every mouth stirring I should think the comforts of matrimony were coming, with all their commanding retinue. A wife, egad! I'd rather want wine, the only support of the body.
Well, you declare for a bottle, I for a wife, which I think the greater pleasure far.
Where shall we find you?
At the Rose.
Exit.
Adieu. Bellmein shall come to you there. Let fools be fettered to that clog, a wife, whilst free I reap the pleasure of my life. And heaven grant I may no longer live than I can taste the joys which wine doth give.
Exit. A clash of swords. Sir William cries,
Murder!
Colonel and Clarinda, Bellmein, and Amelia cross the stage.
Haste, my fairest, and let us tie that knot which naught but death can loose.
Exit. Enter Carefull.
Certainly. I heard Sir William's voice cry murder.
Enter Sir William.
What's the matter, Sir William? Where's my daughter?
Enfeeble me if I know. You had best send after her immediately, or she'll be married to Manly, who drew upon me. And if I had not quitted her, he'd run me quite through the body, impair my vigour.
This was her project of going on foot. She would not have the coach under pretence of notice being taken, forsooth, and your persuasion made me go before to get the parson ready. Odds flesh! Had I been there, this had not happened. Old as I am, they should not have escaped so easily. 'Sdeath! Let a man take your mistress from you. In my conscience, young fellows are so rotten nowadays, they're afraid of every scuffle, lest they drop in pieces.
Aside.
Zounds! I could curse the minute I got this bastard. To think what a fortune she has lost.
Do take my breeding to have been at a bear garden, sir, or a bedlam to endanger my life for your daughter? No, let her go. I'd marry an actress sooner, have more hopes of her virtue.
Say you so, Mr. Dirty Crown? A Dodd, I could find in my heart to dash the powder out of your horse hair for you.
Your age protects you, sir.
Exit.
Well, if I don't fit the baggage, I'm mistaken. Egad, I'll marry Topher's niece immediately.
Enter Toper.
Mr. Toper, you came, luckily. I am resolved to marry your cousin this moment. Nay, I'll settle all I have upon her. I'll hamper my daughter. I'll warrant her.
I came to inform you, sir, that I saw Colonel Manley and your daughter enter the church. The parson met them at the door, and I'm much afraid they will be married before you can get to 'em.
Let her marry and be poxed. I'll not give her a farthing. I'm resolved. Let her go a-soldiering with her husband, and carry his knapsack like a trull as she is. If there be any favour or interest to be had in an English Parliament, I'll have the parson turned out of his place for a Jacobite that coupled them.
I have a friend of mine at the Rose, just come from Oxford. If you please, Mr. Carefull, I'll fetch him, and you may be married in your own house.
Exit Toper.
With all my heart. Adod, methinks I'm brisk and young again. This audacious wench. My blood boils high, and all my spirits move. Revenge gives strength to age as much as love.
Exit. End of the 4th act. Act 5 of The Beau's Duel, or A Soldier for the Ladies, by Susanna Centlivre. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 5, Scene 1. Scene: Carefull's house. Carefull leading in Mrs. Plotwell.
Well, my dearest Anne, I think myself the happiest man alive since I espoused thee. I have settled my whole estate upon thee, which, with this kiss, I do confirm to thee again.
Offers to kiss her.
Pray forbear, sir.
How, wife? Refuse to kiss me?
Yes, except a sweeter air come from you. Phew, you have turned my stomach. I wonder you can ask me, knowing your lungs are perished.
Mercy upon me! What have I married?
Here, where are my servants?
Enter a maid.
Run to the exchange, fetch me a French nightgown and French head. Set my dressing table in order, do you hear? Let my paint, powder, and patches be ready.
Oh Lord! Paint, powder, and patches? Why, harkee, mistress, are you not a Quaker?
No, sir, I only made use of that disguise to catch you in. But you have money enough to equip me after the fashion, and that was the only motive of my sanctity.
Oh, undone!
Look you, sir, I shall never endure your conversation. I must have 2 beds, 2 chambers, and 2 tables. It was an article of our agreement, you know, that I should live retired. That is apart, sir.
A curse on that agreement! But harkee, wife, are you not in earnest, sure?
In earnest? Why, do you think I jest with age?
And you won't bed with me?
Did ever man of your hairs ask such questions? I vow I blush at your unreasonableness.
Oh, monstrous!
Is it fit I should be buried? For to bed with you were a direct emblem of my going to my grave.
Mercy upon me! Where is this rogue, this topher? What damned succubus has he topped upon me?
I'll have your picture set in my wedding ring to put me in mind of mortality. Do you think I'll come within your winding sheets? For what?
I am married.
Pray, why did you marry? In my conscience, you're as youthful as a coffin, and as hot as the sultry winter that froze over the Thames. They say the hard time did begin from you.
Oh, heavens! I am made the curse of all mankind. Oh, patience, patience! Harkee, mistress, you that have a fever and dog days in your blood, if you knew this, why did you marry me?
That your experienced aches that have felt springs and falls these 40 years should ask such a question. As if I could not find friends to supply your cold defects. Do you think a young woman high in her blood?
Careful, aside.
And hot as goats and marmosets.
Apt to take flame at any temptation.
Careful, aside.
And kindle at the picture of a man.
Would wear dust and ashes, unless she were...
Cracked, tried, or broken up, ha!
Right, sir. Or lacked a cloak.
Mischief in hell! Is there none to make your cloak but me?
Not so well lined, sir.
Oh, you stayed for a wealthy cuckold, did you?
Your tame beast should have gilded horns. Besides, sir, I thought your age would wink at stolen helps, if I took comfort from abroad.
Yes, you shall have comfort. I'll deliver letters for you, or hold the door.
No, sir, I'll not give you that trouble. I'll have a maid shall do that.
Making a curtsy.
Oh, impudence! Unheard of impudence!
But, sir, I look your coffers should maintain me at my rate.
How's that, pray?
Why, like a lady. I must have united, for I don't like mistress. My lady would sound better.
Careful, aside.
Yes, I shall rise to honour.
I must have 6 horses in my coach. 4 are fit for those that have a charge of children. You and I shall never have any.
If we have, all Middlesex will be their fathers.
I'll have 4 footmen, and this house cleared of all this old lumber, and new wainscoted, and lined with looking-glass, have cabinets, scrutores, and china.
Mercy upon me! Hark I, mistress, you told me you loved retirement, hated visits, and bargained for hours of devotion.
Right, sir, but what woman speaks truth before she's married?
Politically answered, and like one perfect in the sinning trade.
Well, sir, don't discompose yourself. 'Twill signify nothing. I'll in and examine your jewels. Choose some for every day, and some for masks and balls.
Exit.
The devil go with you! Oh, that I had my daughter again! 2 days more of this, and I shall grow mad. Or to redeem myself, dash out my brains.
Exit. Scene changes to Plotwell's lodgings. Enter on one side the Colonel, Clarinda, and Amelia. On the other, Bellmein and Toper.
We have done your business, Colonel. Bellmein here has tacked 'em together.
Handed out the form of Matrimony as gravely as if I had taken my degree at Edinburgh.
And how does it take?
Oh, admirably well. I listened a while and found she managed it rarely.
She'll drive my father out of his wits.
Well, Captain, you'll observe what I told you. I'll follow you with another project. I warrant you will give the old fellow enough of matrimony. Colonel, do you be ready when I call to come in, do you hear? I fancy they are in such confusion that it would be no hard matter for all of you to get into the house unseen.
We'll endeavour it.
But hark ye, madam, there's something more to be said before you and I part. Have you the conscience to let your friend launch into the sea of matrimony alone?
To choose, sir, for if the voyage prove dangerous, one at a time is enough to be lost.
Would you have her surrender under the first summons, Captain? You must expect some fatigue in love as well as war. The little disquiet of hopes and fears do but enhance the value of a mistress when gained. Soldiers and knight-errants should court danger and despise an enterprise that had no difficulty in it.
Ay, madam, if I had but the hopes of a carnival after this Lent, 'twould be a sufficient recompense. But expectation and uncertainty is the worst food in the world for a fellow of my constitution.
Come, madam, be generous. You cannot have an honester fellow, I'll say that for him.
Look'ee there, madam, he'll vouch for me, if you don't think my own word sufficient.
I shall trust nobody's judgment but my own, and that tells me you are too much a libertine for a husband. Why, you have not the least resemblance of a lover.
No resemblance! Why, I'm a perfect skeleton. Do but see how pale and wan I look. My tailor shall swear I am fallen away 6 inches in the waist, since this day 7 night, and if these be no signs of being in love, the devil's in it.
Very violent symptoms, truly. Have you any more of them, sir?
1,000. But do feel here the palpitation of my heart, the irregularity of my pulse, the emotion of my brain. In short, my whole frame is deformed, and without immediate help I'm a dead man.
Aside.
I'm quite out of breath. I hope she won't put me to the expense of any more lies, for certainly I have told enow to deserve any one woman in Christendom.
Poor gentleman. Well, if your distemper continues, I'll consult my pillow for a remedy.
Take me with you to that study, madam. The sight of me there will very much improve your understanding.
Embracing her.
Come, I hope to see thee blessed as I am.
To Clarinda.
And now, my fairest, my whole study shall be to make you happy.
Well, madam, you had as good give me my answer.
Not until I see the event of your plot upon my uncle.
Exit.
Come, come, she's thine, boy. For though at first the sex our suit deny, press 'em but home, and they will all comply.
Scene, Careful's house. Careful solus.
Mercy upon me! What shall I do? Well, thought right enough served, old boy. Pox of thy old doting head.
beats his head.
Thou must marry for revenge, must thou? I am revenged with a witness.
Enter Bellmein.
Sir, your servant. I come, sir, to do you a piece of service, if it be not too late. I heard just now that one Toper had lodged a woman under pretence of a cousin in your house.
Oh, heavens! I'm become the town talk already. Well, sir, and what then?
She's a common strumpet, sir.
How, sir? Have a care what you say.
I'll prove it, sir. She's of known practice. The clothes she wears are but her quarter's sins. She has no lining but what she first offends for.
Oh, I sweat, I sweat.
Sir, she has known men of all nations, and lain by two parts of the map, Africa and America.
Oh, 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 oh.
What ails you, sir? Are you not well?
Oh, undone, undone. I am married, sir.
Nay then, heaven help you. Why would you trust Toper, the debauchedest fellow in town? She was once his mistress. Money falling short, I suppose, he has topped her upon you, and is to be maintained out of your bags.
Oh, I've settled all I have in the world upon her, that damned rascal. Oh, that I could see him stretched upon a rack now. I'd give £1,000 for every stretch that should but show him hell, and then rascal his fleeting soul, and give him strength to endure his torment often. I'd have him as long a-dying as a chopped eel.
Enter two footmen, bearing in a frame of a picture with a curtain before it.
What have we here?
My lady has sent your wife a present, sir.
Who is your lady?
My lady Manlove.
Pray, what is it?
A picture for her bedchamber, sir.
For her bedchamber? There are but one sort of pictures will please my wife there. Pray draw back the curtain.
My lady charged that none should see it but your wife, sir.
Say you so, sir, but I will see it.
Draws the curtain, and Toper comes out of the frame.
Hell and damnation! Are you there? Board, Panda, Sirrah, I'll cut your ears off.
Draws. Bellmein holds him.
Hold, sir, I must prevent your running into further mischief. If you kill him, the law pursues you.
The law? Who would scruple hanging to be revenged on such a dog? Sirrah, you are a villain.
Sir, you are rude and should be beaten. Can't a man come in private, on business to your wife, but you must be inquisitive?
Why, this is beyond example. Why do you hold me, sir? This is death. I shall be cuckolded before my face.
Enter Mrs. Plotwell.
Oh, are you come? I thought your husband, to keep you chaste, had set a guard of eunuchs over you, or shut you up in a room, where no male beast is pictured, for I find he is as jealous already as an Italian.
I wonder, sir, who licensed you to pry or spy out my friends that come to me in private? It would be more to your reputation to trust to my management than to be peeping. But it shows your unbred curiosity, which I shall correct.
Zounds! This is beyond the suffering of a saint. Let me go, and I'll slit her nose. Thou woman double-stamped!
You'll dare to break up letters shortly, and examine my tailor when he brings home my gown, lest there be a man in it. I'll have you to know, sir, I'll have whom I please, and in what disguise I please, and not have your eyes so saucy to peep, as if by prevention you meant to kill a basilisk.
Mercy on me! I shall lose my understanding.
Cousin Toper, I'll fetch you the £100 immediately.
Exit.
£100! Oh, oh, oh!
I vow, sir, I am very much concerned at your misfortune. If I was in your place, I'd take my daughter home. The colonel is a man of honour, and will at least secure you from such affronts as these.
Ah, poor girl! But I have not a farthing to give her. This damned woman has got all.
Suppose I contrive a way to annul your marriage. Would you forgive your daughter?
With all my soul.
What would you give for such a project, huh?
As much as I'd give to see you hanged, which is all I am worth.
Well, you'd forgive me too, would you not?
Ay, though thou hast murdered my father and debauched my mother.
Say you so, sir? Well, I'll be with you in an instant.
Exit.
But which way will you do it, sir?
Why, you have not consummated yet, have you?
No, thank heaven.
Well, then, take you no care. You'll give your daughter the same fortune you designed for the fop knight.
Ay, that I will, and £500 more.
Come in, lovers. The scene's changed.
Enter Colonel, Clarinda, Emilia, and Toper. Colonel kneels.
Your blessing, sir.
And with it your pardon.
You have it, provided I get unmarried again.
Well, now call for your lady. Oh, here she comes.
Enter Mrs. Plotwell.
Zounds! I tremble at the sight of her.
You shan't need, sir, for my fury is over. I wish you joy, madam, and, sir, I here resign you up your settlement again.
Gives him papers.
How's this? Ha! Pray unfold this mystery.
Why, sir, this is Mrs. Plotwell, your neighbour, who only put on this disguise to be serviceable to your daughter. This honest gentleman here was the parson that coupled you.
Now, sir, I think I've kept my word with you.
Very well.
Why, truly, sir, being loath to see this young lady thrown away upon a fool, when she had the prospect of such a worthy match as Colonel Manley, I undertook to reduce you to your reason, and I don't doubt but you'll own I have done you a piece of service, in forcing you to exclude a blockhead out of your family, and in his stead receive a man of sense and honour.
'Tis now, madam, my turn to pay my acknowledgments for this unexpected goodness. Instruct me, pray, which way I may be grateful.
If I have done good, it rewards itself, and if Mr. Careful pleases to pardon the frolic, I shall be overpaid.
With all my heart, I' faith, the frolic was a pretty frolic. Now 'tis over.
Enter Sir William Mode.
I heard you was married, Mr. Careful. I wish you joy.
You are mistaken, Sir William. 'Tis my daughter that is married.
Sir William aside.
Huh. The colonel married to my mistress.
Sir William, I desire all quarrels between you and I may be cancelled.
Pray include me in that treaty too, Sir William.
Here has been strange juggling, Sir William. I have been tricked out of my consent. I hope you'll pardon me too.
Sir William aside.
I am in such confusion that I know not what to say, but I must show them that my soul's above and front, and that nothing can disorder the serenity of my temper. Aye, we are all friends, gentlemen, and I forgive the lady too, for she has done more honestly by me than most women would. She has married the man she liked, though 'tis the fashion to take the rich husband they don't like and make a friend of the man they do. One thing I desire you'd make clear to me, madam, which is, why did you give me encouragement by your woman?
I give you encouragement by my woman? What do you mean?
I beg your pardon, madam. His gold prevailed upon me, and I thought what I said would signify nothing. I hope you will forgive me.
Never. Out of my doors. I suppose through your management Ogle was so familiar with me too. Out of my sight.
Exit maid.
Indeed, my dear, I cannot intercede in her behalf, since through her means my first suspicion came that made us both uneasy. But as to Ogle, I sufficiently revenged your quarrel, for I'll engage he never sets up for a beau again.
Confound your whole sex! You're all not worth a gentleman's anger. Out to my lodgings and send for the music, and think no more of you nor matrimony. If I do, I'll give 'em leave to ram me into an oat boy and blow me out of the hose, impair my vigour.
Exit.
Well, madam, what say you? Have you a mind to see me sing to Elysium in my garters, and hear me sung about in a ballad to a doleful new tune called The Gentleman's Farewell to His Unkind Lady? Or will you take pity on me?
Well, sir, to prevent such sad disasters, I don't care if I give you my hand. And as you deserve, my heart shall follow.
Ay, give me but the body, and I'll warrant you I'll get the rest.
Heyday! What a wedding chopped up there too! Well, I never shall believe common report again, that all women are Jacobites, since I find them so ready towards a soldier's service to the nation with their persons and fortunes.
I wish every brave man was rewarded according to his merit. I'm certain Captain Bellmein deserves more than I can give him.
Don't compliment your husband, madam. You don't know half my deserts yet.
Brave boys, brave boys.
Enter servant.
Sir, here's the music without, come to congratulate your marriage.
Bid 'em come in. We'll have a dance.
Here a dance.
Well, gentlemen, I wish you joy, if there can be any such thing in a wife. But for my part, it shall always be my maxim not to part with my liberty till I can't help it. What bird would be confined in a cage when it can skip from tree to tree? Colonel, I'll come and take a bottle with you by and by.
Exit.
Madam, you deserve our best thanks for this exemplary piece of justice, and be assured you have laid an eternal obligation on me.
I am pleased that I have done you service, and henceforth shall devote myself to virtue, and I hope heaven will pardon the follies of my past life.
Blessed in my love, I envy no man's fate. Content alone is the true happy state.
Virtue, thou shining jewel of my sex, thou precious thing that none knows how to value as they ought while they enjoy it, but like spendthrift heirs, when they have wasted all their store, would give the world they could retrieve their lost estate. Therefore beware, you happy maids, how you listen to the deluding tongues of men. 'Tis only they have power to betray you. O happy she that can securely say, Folly be gone, I have no mind to play. My fame is clear, I have not sinned today.
End of Act 5. The Epilogue by the author. You see, gallants, has been our poet's care, to show what beaux in their perfection are, by nature cowards, foolish, useless tools, made men by tailors and by women fools, a fickle, false, a singing, dancing crew. Nay, now we hear they've smiling masters too. Just now a Frenchman in the dressing-room, from teaching of a beau to smile was come. He showed 5 guineas, wasn't he rarely paid? Thus all the world by smiles are once betrayed. The statesman smiles on them he would undo. The courtier's smiles are very seldom true. The lover's smiles too many do believe, and women smile on them they would deceive. When tradesmen smile, they safely cheat with ease, and smiling lawyers never fail of fees. The doctor's look the patient's pain beguiles. The sick man lives if the physician smiles. The smiles with interest hand in hand do go. He surest strikes that smiling gives the blow. Poets with us this proverb do defy. We live by smiles, for if you frown, we die. To please you then shall be our chief endeavor, and all we ask is but your smiles forever. Going. Hold, I forgot, the author bid me say, she humbly begs protection for her play. 'Tis yours, she dedicates it to you all, and sure you're too generous to let it fall. She hopes the ladies will her cause maintain, since virtue here has been her only aim. The beaux, she thinks, won't fail to do her right, since here they're taught with safety how to fight. She's sure of favor from the men of war. A soldier is her darling character. To fear the murmurs then would be absurd. They only mutiny when not preferred. But yet I see she does your fury dread, and like a prisoner stands with fear half dead, while you, our judges, do her sentence give. If you're not pleased, she says she cannot live. Let my petition then for once prevail, and let your generous claps her pardon seal. End of the Beau's Duel, or A Soldier for the Ladies, by Susanna Centlivre.